Okay, I am Brendon Kleen, the digital communications specialist here at the Global Sport Institute, joined by Kenneth Shropshire, the CEO of the Global Sport Institute, to introduce our August digital issue on the globalization of sport. Ken, we always look across the globe when we explore everything across the sports landscape here, but in this particular issue, we're thinking about the Olympics, using that as sort of a jumping off point to think about how globalization has affected sport. So let's just start by discussing some of the broader topics that this issue is going to get at the heart of. You've been involved as an Olympic organizer, lawyer, professor, all types of professions within sport throughout your career. So I'm curious from your perspective how globalization, this very broad topic that touches way more than just sports, has affected your career and the changes that you've seen during it over the years.
Well, I've always tried to bring the global issues into the work that I do. And the two big issues that I think about that really make the global focus important. First is just access and equality and the whole idea of people having the right to play. I mean, a lot of the global sports institutes are around the world, beyond ours, look at that issue of how do we allow just kids to play. But getting up to the higher levels of sport, do you have what you need to play at the highest level? And the Olympics, apart from this whole idea of access and equity, the Olympics bring together this whole idea of, can sport bring us all together? I mean, that's kind of this overriding global issue related to sport as well.
Yeah, I mean, so we have the Tokyo Olympics going on currently, but they're returning to Los Angeles, a city you know well, in 2028. We've already seen the beginnings of that, not only when it comes to the development that has to go into getting things off the ground there, but also, some protesting around the games, the No Olympics movement that has got some steam over the years. So I think that is a kind of fertile place to look when we think about this development and detriment concept that we want to explore in the issue and that we are going to explore in the issue. So I guess just using the Olympics as sort of a backdrop for a lot of this, do you worry that some of the strife associated with the Olympics has caught up with the event? Do you think over time, maybe by 2028 or roundabout there, that this sort of pushback that we see might affect how we view the Olympics, how they function, and, again, how global sport operates with so much, pushback against it?
Yeah, the International Olympic Committee is probably one of the most powerful sports enterprises around. And if you think about it, there aren't many businesses alone, but sports entities for sure, that have been around as long as the International Olympic Committee. So part of the advantage that enterprise has and the Olympics as a whole has is just this inertia to keep going forward in the way that it does. But the other enterprise that we can look at in a moment where there's so much change is the NCAA and the changes that are about to take place there. I mean, as we're getting ready to do this issue, they're talking about having a constitutional convention for the NCAA to reform that organization. So I think the IOC and the Olympic movement, a number of times there have been kind of moments to stop and think about what they're doing and how to do it better. And certainly as these games go to the places they're getting ready to go, there's going to have to be some real thought about the real power of the Olympics. How much power does it really have to bring people together? The whole concept of the Olympics having the power to stop wars and bring people together to play and then go back to war, I guess is the fable that we have. There's really got to be some rethinking. But as I said, the inertia, I mean, no matter how much the games cost, countries want to host the games. We had that one stagger point back for the 84 games that a number of countries did not bid, cities did not bid, and that's how LA got the games back then. We may see some other moments like that, but there's always apparently somebody that will step up to say, we want to host these games.
Yeah, similar we saw in Boston with them withdrawing their bid. And I agree, it doesn't seem as if there will be no city on the planet that wants it, but who that ends up being and what that looks like will be a big part of, I think, it's just an opportunity to bring everybody together every 4 years and, like we're doing, look at this topic of how sport functions within economies and politics and society. But looking forward a little bit here, just off the top of my head, some of the things that kind of struck me were, media and the way that, folks all across the planet can watch the NFL or the English Premier League, and ownership is multinational at this point. And we have the World Cup and Winter Olympics next year that are going to be hosted in countries that have been accused of pretty horrific human rights abuses in recent years. So a lot of these things are not going to go away, might even be amplified even as we move away from the summer games here. What do you think the most important repercussions of globalization and just kind of global themes when it comes to sport might be as we look forward into the rest of the 2020s?
I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of what is it about hosting the games in Beijing? What is it going to be about hosting the World Cup, for example, in Qatar? Should we be doing that? Should we allow that to happen? And the flip side too is, should the games have been in Rio? Should the World Cup have been in South Africa? Should those big dollars be spent on these types of sporting events when there's so much other world trauma going on? It should be addressed by the world coming together in the way that the world comes together for the Olympic Games. So I think those are the biggest pieces to be aware of and to look out for as these games go forward. But the other piece of it too, you mentioned media, is I think there's going to be some new paths for monetization to take place based on the format of the games and how they are televised. The contracts that are in place now go out pretty far, but now the kind of the hottest media conversation raised by John Skipper, formerly of ESPN, is this idea of pay-per-view for the Super Bowl. That you have people, you got your cable deal or whatever, but you got to pay $200 to get the Super Bowl, and the numbers that would bring in. Well, what about something like, you can watch the Olympics, you can watch all the, as my friend said, the bows and arrows, horse and stuff, but when it comes to the 100 meters, you got to pay an extra $75. So there's a lot that can go on, and the question becomes, if these dollars are raised, these additional dollars, what could the world do with those dollars if they were channeled in the right way?
Fascinating kind of considerations as we look toward, at this point, frankly, the 2030s, when it comes to some of these deals and contracts and where the Olympics might be next and all of these types of things. But it's not going to slow down anytime soon. We're covering all of it over at Global Sport Matters. Visit globalsportmatters.com, subscribe right here to our YouTube page, and follow the Global Sport Matters podcast wherever you listen to audio to take it all in. We'll be going all month throughout August, and hopefully you enjoy.
Great, Brendon. Thank you very much.